Let's move on to the continuing fallout from Brexit, the name for both the UK's decision to leave the European Union and, I'm sure, at least one baby in Brooklyn. Brexit, you put down your kombucha and you come here now. Now, the UK has had a dramatic few weeks. Prime Minister David Cameron has stepped aside and his successor Theresa May has taken over. And while it's clearly too early to know exactly what kind of leader she'll be, one of her first appointments was not really reassuring.
There were some surprises. Former London Mayor Boris Johnson is the new Foreign Secretary.
Yes, Boris Johnson, a grown man who looks like a problem child at a daycare centre, is now Britain's new Foreign Secretary. Boris Johnson, a man with such horrifically poor judgment. He wasn't just Britain's most ardent advocate for pulling out of the EU. He may be its strongest argument for pulling out in general. Pull out, Barnaby, pull out! We don't want to accidentally make another Boris. That would be ghastly. Boris is a weird choice for a diplomat because, to put it mildly, he has said a lot of dumb things, as was pointed out during a joint press conference between him and John Kerry.
You've accused the current U.S. President Barack Obama of harboring a part Kenyan's, quote, ancestral dislike for the British Empire, unquote. You've described a possible future U.S. President, Hillary Clinton, as someone with, quote, dyed blonde hair and pouty lips and a steely blue stare, like a sadistic nurse in a mental hospital, unquote. You've also likened her to Lady Macbeth. Do you take these comments back?
Ooh. It is not a great sign when one of the first questions you're being asked is, are you going to be as bad at your job as all evidence suggests you will be? But Boris Johnson, a man whose face always looks like he just quantum leaped into his own body and hasn't figured out who he is yet, had an answer, sort of.
I'm afraid that there is such a rich thesaurus now of things that I've said that have been, one way or another, through what alchemy I do not know, somehow misconstrued, that it would really take me too long to engage in a full global itinerary of apology to all concerned.
Now, interestingly, that is the exact sound that the Oxford English Dictionary makes when you put it in a blender. But while Boris Johnson, a washed-up scarecrow who never even thought to ask the wizard for a brain, seems to think that it would take too long to adjudicate the idiotic things he said and done, let me give you just a taste more of Britain's new chief diplomat, because he's referred to Papua New Guinea-style orgies of cannibalism, he's referred to Africans using these words, which I'm not going to repeat, he's compared Vladimir Putin to Dobby the house elf, wrote a poem about the Turkish president fucking a goat, said the Chinese have zero cultural influence, and once got stuck on a zip line while waving the British flag. But at least in that example, he's only hurting himself, specifically his genitals, or his Boris Johnson, if you will. But watch what he did in an exhibition rugby match to a 10-year-old Japanese child. Boris Johnson might just be the least diplomatic diplomat in existence, which actually makes him perfect for this job, because what better symbol of centuries of British foreign policy than a foppish buffoon stampeding his way around the world, knocking things over, falling flat on his face, and refusing to apologise. And now...